Hi everyone, I'm Kevin Nelson. Here's a look at what's going on this week in the news. We begin with news from the Vatican. While the Synod of Bishops on Young People, the Faith and Vocational Discernment is going on at the Vatican, one of its participants, German Cardinal Reinhard Marx of Munich, took time out to speak, along with others, at a congress hosted by the Pontifical Gregorian University and its Center for Child Protection, or the CCP. The Center was announcing the start of the first interdisciplinary 2-year master's degree program in safeguarding. The Cardinal's Archdiocese has helped provide financial support to the CCP since it was established in 2012. Cardinal Marx, who is president of the German Bishops' Conference and a member of Pope Francis' Advisory Council of Cardinals, told those gathered the situation now, compared to just 6 years ago when he helped inaugurate the Center for Child Protection, is much more urgent. Abuse is a crime, he said. In any civilized society, it's normally obvious how to handle crimes. They must be investigated and prevented, which he said is why it is all the more incomprehensible to realize that within the Catholic Church there were apparently other standards being followed that justified dodging and denying. The CCP proposes good practices to bishops and organizes congresses like this one to address the problem of abuse. Its main idea is that the most credible way to solve and prevent them is to train professionals to detect abuses and help the victims. In news from around the world, on October 4th, the feast of St. Francis, pilgrims gathered at the Vatican for the beginning of a climate pilgrimage, which will end in December in southern Poland, the site of this year's UN climate talks. Before their journey began, they held a press conference to share the importance of the pilgrimage.
On October the 4th, people from the Philippines, Pacific Islands, Europe and United States are doing a pilgrimage from the Vatican to Katowice, Poland. They are hoping to remind world leaders of the promise they made at the 2015 Paris Agreement to tackle climate change. The pilgrimage will end at Katowice, where the next climate summit between world leaders will take place in December. Jeb Sano, the leader of the climate pilgrimage, wants people to see that the climate crisis is a crisis in the spirit. It is an issue of justice, one that will require a global spiritual awakening.
The climate crisis is something that people experience in a very profound way in many places around the world, and especially in my country, the Philippines.
The people involved in this pilgrimage are hoping for a decrease in emissions in order to meet the 1.5-degree target established by the Paris Agreement. Pope Francis' encyclical letter Laudato Si on climate change has been a guide for these pilgrims in addressing these issues. For Jeb, the encyclical not only offers hope, but addresses other issues.
It also sends us a message that the environmental crisis is not merely a crisis around politics, nor is it just a crisis that will be solved by technical solutions. It is a crisis that has a lot to do with our spirituality, with the way we care for each other.
It is particularly poignant that the pilgrimage begins on October the 4th, as it is the feast of St. Francis of Assisi. He is a saint who has been an inspiration for the pilgrims.
Is the same inspiration that Pope Francis got when he took his name. And St. Francis of Assisi, of course, is our symbol of hope for caring for the planet, for stewardship for creation.
The pilgrims will be spending months on the road, walking in the snow, sleeping on church floors, all in a Christian witness for climate justice.
More news from around the world. A special bench of the Supreme Court in Pakistan has reached a verdict October 8th on the fate of Asia Bibi, but publication has been deferred until a later unspecified date, according to the British Pakistani Christian Association. Bibi is the first Catholic woman to be condemned to death under Pakistan's blasphemy laws. Bibi has been held in solitary confinement since November 2010, when she was sentenced to hang for insulting Muhammad, which she has denied. Ashik Masa, Bibi's husband, along with her youngest daughter, have been in England as guests of Aid to the Church in Need, a Catholic charity helping persecuted Christians. According to her husband, Asia Bibi is spending her life praying with a very strong faith and is reading the Bible every day. He also said she wanted to deliver a message to the international community that they must remember her in their prayers, and that these prayers will open the door of the prison and she will be released very soon. If the court upholds the execution order, the only option open to her lawyers will be a direct appeal for clemency to Pakistan's president. And finally, in the news, in an open letter to Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano, the former Vatican nuncio to the United States, Cardinal Marc Ouellet prefect of the Congregation for Bishops, said former Cardinal Theodore McCarrick of Washington had been told by Vatican officials to withdraw from public life because of rumors about his sexual misconduct. However, Cardinal Ouellet wrote, because they were only rumors and not proof. Then Pope Benedict XVI never imposed formal sanctions on the retired McCarrick, which means Pope Francis never lifted them. Archbishop Vigano had wrote an open letter that urged Cardinal Ouellet to tell what he knew about now Archbishop McCarrick. Archbishop Vigano's letter followed a statement he made in mid-August, which called on Pope Francis to resign because he claimed Pope Francis had lifted sanctions on then Cardinal McCarrick and made him a trusted confidant. In his letter to Archbishop Vigano, Cardinal Ouellet said that he understands how bitterness and disappointments have marked his path in the service of the Holy See. But the Cardinal said you cannot conclude your priestly life in this way, in open and scandalous rebellion. Cardinal Ouellet's letter was published the day after the Vatican said the Pope had ordered a thorough study of the entire documentation present in the archives of the dicasteries and offices of the Holy See regarding the former Cardinal McCarrick in order to ascertain all the relevant facts, to place them in their historical context, and to evaluate them objectively. The statement added that the Holy See is conscious that from the examination of the facts and of the circumstances, it may emerge that choices were taken that would not be consonant with the contemporary approach to such issues. Well, that is all the information we have for you at this time. I'm Kevin Nelson. Don't forget, you can keep up to date on Catholic news throughout the week with Catholic Newsbreak right here on the Catholic TV network.